our 7-spot pottery documentary, Critical Reflection PowerPoint.
I'm Thomas, and this is my slide. In assessment 1, we had a sequence of either narrative or Jeopardy. I chose narrative. I knew how to go in with it, and use the props, the lighting, and also the camera angles too, and the people who I wanted to be in it. It was very like a cozy environment, and it was a very good narrative, I would say. But the only problem is the exposure was too bright on the editing. I tried to turn that down in DaVinci, but that didn't really work properly. Also the camera angles, one camera angle was shaky, but all of that was quite good, to be fair. And the narrative was quite good. The music I put into it was fitted in with the in the narrative sequence, and I think the music made it a little bit better. I used several camera angles and several lighting. I put the light different places as well, and I should not have took the camera off the tripod, which I did, and that what made the last camera angle shaky. So but I use my editing skills, my camera movement as well skills, and the sound too. The skills what I used beforehand into this narrative. In assessment 2, I use my skills in assessment 1 to move on to assessment 2. I put my input into the group's work. We used pottery because it was software secrets and not many people knew about this. So the input I used, I just shared it with my group. We used several camera angles. The interview was good as well. And yes, so the skills I used from assessment 1, I put into assessment 2, and I was doing sound and stuff, that's what I use in assessment 2.
In assessment 1, we were tasked with making a short Jeopardy or narrative sequence. I decided to choose the narrative brief as I initially thought it would play better to my strengths. My particular choices when it came to creating the sequence was that I wanted to incorporate flashbacks through the use of lighting and editing skills, both in production and post. Looking back, I would have done the flashbacks differently due to it not ultimately making sense in the sequence, meaning it didn't signify obviously to the audience what I wanted the narrative to be. This may have been due to the too overexposed filter that I put onto the footage and the clips, and having the clips in the wrong time. So this could have been a weakness of mine. In addition to this, another weakness is that I noticed that there were some continuity errors in my filming, having my actress wearing the wrong clothes or the wrong hairstyle, which was meant to be in the flashbacks, but instead I used them in the flash forwards. However, I did have some strengths, and these were when I recorded the sound effects, how these needed to be recorded using everyday objects. And so I used a vending machine button for a lift button and me walking around for the actress's footsteps, and these were good quality and worked well. In conclusion, I've learned as a result of the experience to plan out my ideas more carefully, i.e. shots, costumes, etc. It was a very useful learning experience as I acquired the skills of creating a sequence from scratch while learning editing and filming skills that I didn't know before. When watching the final film, I thought the story worked well and my sound effects were particularly effective. When creating the documentary for assessment 2, I knew I needed to consider my feedback from assessment 1. So, for example, using a more variety of shots and having the narrative easier to understand. I decided to do the research of the team, researching into the pottery studio itself and into mental health and how we wanted to evolve the documentary around that. This ultimately helped me make my interview questions, as I was also the interviewer on the day, and it really made the documentary showing this as one of my strengths. When it came to filming, I say that we were prepared, although we could have been more prepared. And I feel like we should have had better shots and have less shaky shots. And when I watched the final documentary, we should have had more actuality sounds. Overall, when watching the finished film, I really enjoyed it and it was created well. And I thought that the answers from the interview helped for the film to flow and the audience to understand.
My ambition for the project was to effectively tell a story through my camera work and script writing. In the assessment 1, some of the sound effects did not match my footage, so I wanted to work on this going forward. I needed to improve my continuity between shots, which I do feel like I improved on the documentary project. My strengths have been professional messaging and teamwork. I originally contacted Seven Spot Pottery, which led to a positive response and the booking of the filming day. My weaknesses have been time management, as on the day we had a tight schedule due to me having an overlapping schedule, which, whilst filming, I had unplugged the mic as well, which meant some of the B-roll footage had no sound, but fortunately that could be resolved in the edit. Next time I would like to improve my editing skills and be more involved in that side of the project.
In assessment 1, we were asked to choose between the themes Jeopardy and narrative, and I decided to choose Jeopardy to push myself. I had to change my initial idea from shooting outside to shooting inside because of the weather. So I wanted to use flashbacks to explain how the actor woke up outside, but like I said, the weather wasn't very good, so I couldn't use the equipment outside. My new idea was to have the actor going to sleep at night and then waking up late for something important in the morning. However, I feel like I lacked continuity in this because when the actor woke up in the morning, it was really dark in the shots, so the audience can't really see any drama and it's quite confusing. Another improvement I would have is cutting down the getting dressed scene, as for this it took up too much time and killed again all the drama and jeopardy. Looking back, I should also improve my camera tilting, as a few of my shots just showed the actor's body and not his head, and even though I did one of these intentionally, it didn't look as good as I imagined. In future, I'll be more careful with filming and make sure that my shots align with my final piece. In assessment 2, I was in charge of sound, so I made sure that the interview was clear and that we could hear the interviewee. I made sure that the angles were right when I was overseeing the camera operator. Something that went well was our range of shots. I think we used a good range of shots to show the pottery, and we had shots of people making pottery too, so it gave like a real sense of realism and things that were happening like right then and there. Something that I could improve on is doing more research for the brief, as the brief was Salford Secret and I could have been more involved in the research part when finding a place for the documentary. Next.
This reflection explores my performance throughout Assessment 2 and how I was influenced by Assessment 1. My main role within the group project was editor. However, I also contributed with other minor roles such as creating the risk assessment, as I was unable to begin editing until the filming was completed. For Assessment 1, I had to choose between a 2-minute time sequence or a Jeopardy sequence. I chose to create a Jeopardy sequence. I received feedback on technical elements such as exposure and colour correction, which I was able to apply in Assessment 2. This helped me produce a more polished final edit. From both assessments, I learned the importance of using a tripod instead of handheld shooting, unless absolutely necessary. In Assessment 1, I lost visual quality due to shaky handheld footage. Similarly, in Assessment 2, using a tripod would have improved shot stability. In Assessment 1, a key challenge was cooperation with contributors, so I was able to use these developed skills onto Assessment 2. Overall, I was able to build on my technical skills from the first assessment. The overall quality of the project was a success. I thought the shots that we used worked very well, as they were all related to the documentary. I think for the interview shot, we should have had the kiln more relevant, as in the editing it kept making a consistent banging noise. What I think I could have done better when it came to editing is putting the clay making shots in chronological order, whereas mine resulted into a less cohesive narrative. I think that if I was going to help film again, I would have been more active in getting Foley sound due to some clips not having sound. However, I acknowledge that sound wasn't my part of my assigned role, but now I see its importance. I am proud of how I managed to edit the clips in smoothly, as I applied 2 different clips together and made it look as if it wasn't filmed separately. I think my confidence has grown with editing, but still needs improvements. In conclusion, I found the experience valuable and enjoyable. I gained technical skills and editing experience. I discovered the importance of soft skills such as teamwork, communication, and coordination, as well as both technical and interpersonal skills, as they are essential for successful projects. Thank you very much for listening.